It's a coincidence that
It
you were
is.
the CFO,
Senator,
that
it
the
is.
Chinese Communist Party took its golden share in its board seat, and the very next day you were appointed the CEO of TikTok? That's a hell of a coincidence.
It really is, Senator.
Yeah, it is. Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions. You said earlier, in response to a question, that what happened at Tiananmen Square in June of 1989 was a massive protest. Did anything else happen in Tiananmen Square?
Yes, I think it's well documented. There was a massacre.
There was the indiscriminate slaughter of hundreds or thousands of Chinese citizens. Do you agree with the Trump administration and the Biden administration that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Senator, I've said this before. I think it's really important that anyone who cares about this topic or any topic can freely express themselves on TikTok.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country and governments around the world. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people? Let me ask you, have you or anyone else at TikTok communicated with or coordinated with the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, or the Democratic National Committee to influence the flow of information on your platform?
Hello, loyal patriots. Welcome to MAGA Capital, the loudest, boldest voice standing for faith, family, and freedom in a time when big tech and globalist sellouts are doing everything they can to silence us. Before we dive deep into today's massive takedown, make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat from the America First movement. Now, let's talk about what went down at the Senate hearing. Senator Tom Cotton absolutely dismantled TikTok CEO Shou Zi-Chew, exposing the terrifying ties between TikTok, the Chinese Communist Party, and the Biden administration's refusal to act. Senator Cotton started strong and cut right to the point, asking if TikTok is under CCP influence. The CEO dodged, twisted, and squirmed. But we all know the truth. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, and ByteDance is subject to China's 2017 national security law, meaning they must hand over user data to the Chinese government if asked. That's not speculation. That's law. And Chew, under oath, couldn't deny it. Even worse, Cotton revealed that ByteDance has an actual Communist Party committee embedded in its company. That's right. The same people suppressing free speech, locking up dissenters, and running concentration camps are in the boardroom of the company feeding content to millions of American children. And get this, right after the CCP took a stake in ByteDance, this guy Chew was made CEO of TikTok. Coincidence? Give me a break. Let's watch the main hearing and see what I'm talking about.
Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Rono. Senator Cotton.
Mr. Chew, let's cut straight to the chase. Is TikTok under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator, we are a private business.
Okay, so you can see that your parent, ByteDance, is subject to the 2017 national security law, which requires Chinese companies to turn over information to the Chinese government and conceal it from the rest of the world. You concede that, correct?
Senator, the Chinese
That's no
business,
question. You conceded it early.
Any company that does, any global business that does business in China has to follow their local laws.
Isn't it the case that ByteDance also has an internal Chinese Communist Party committee?
Like I said, all businesses that operate in China have to follow their local law.
So your parent company is subject to the national security law that requires it to answer to the party. It has its own internal Chinese Communist Party committee. You answer to that parent company, but you expect us to believe that you're not under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party?
I understand this concern, Senator, which is why we built Project Texas.
It was a yes or no question. Okay. But you used to work for ByteDance, didn't you? You were the CFO for ByteDance?
That is correct, Senator.
In April 2021, while you were the CFO, the Chinese Communist Party's China Internet Investment Fund purchased a 1% stake in ByteDance's main Chinese subsidiary, the ByteDance Technology Company. In return for that so-called 1% golden share, the party took one of 3 board seats at that subsidiary company. That's correct, isn't it?
It's for the Chinese business.
Is that correct?
It's for the Chinese business, yes.
That deal was finalized on April 30th, 2021. Isn't it true that you were appointed the CEO of TikTok the very next day on May 1, 2021?
Well, it's a coincidence.
It's a coincidence that you were the CFO,
Senator,
that the Chinese Communist Party took its golden share in its board seat, and the very next day you were appointed the CEO of TikTok? That's a hell of a coincidence.
It really is, Senator.
Yeah, it is. Okay. And before ByteDance, you were at a Chinese company called Xiaomi, is that correct?
Yes, I used to work around the world.
Where did you live when you worked at Xiaomi?
I lived in China, like many expats.
Where exactly?
In Beijing, in China.
How many years did you live in Beijing?
Senator, I worked there for about 5 years.
So you lived there for 5 years.
Yes.
Isn't it the case that Xiaomi was sanctioned by the United States government in 2021 for being a communist Chinese military company?
I'm here to talk about TikTok. I think they then had a lawsuit and it was overturned. I can't remember the details. It's another company.
The Biden administration that reversed those sanctions, just like, by the way, they reversed the terrorist designation on the Houthis in Yemen. How's that working out for them? But it was sanctioned as a Chinese communist military company. So you said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions. You said earlier, in response to a question, that what happened at Tiananmen Square in June of 1989 was a massive protest. Did anything else happen in Tiananmen Square?
Yes, I think it's well documented. There was a massacre.
There was the indiscriminate slaughter of hundreds or thousands of Chinese citizens. Do you agree with the Trump administration and the Biden administration that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Senator, I've said this before. I think it's really important that anyone who cares about this topic or any topic can freely express themselves on TikTok.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country and governments around the world. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Senator, anyone, including, you can come into TikTok and talk about this topic.
I'm asking you,
or any topic that matters to you.
You are a worldly, cosmopolitan, well-educated man who's expressed many opinions on many topics. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Actually, Senator, I talk mainly about my company, and I'm here to talk about what TikTok does.
Yes or no? You're here to give testimony that's truthful and honest and complete. Let me ask you this. Joe Biden last year said that Xi Jinping was a dictator. Do you agree with Joe Biden? Is Xi Jinping a dictator?
Senator, I'm not going to comment on any world leaders.
Why won't you answer these very simple questions?
Senator, it's not appropriate for me as a businessman to comment on world leaders.
Are you scared that you'll lose your job if you say anything negative about the Chinese Communist Party?
I disagree that. You will find content that is critical of China on our platform.
The next time you go on, are you scared that you'll be arrested and disappear the next time you go to mainland China?
Senator, you will find content that's critical of China and any other country freely on TikTok.
Okay. Let's turn to what TikTok, a tool of the Chinese Communist Party, is doing to America's youth. Does the name Mason Edens ring a bell?
Senator, you may have to give me more specifics if you don't mind.
Yeah, he was a 16-year-old Arkansan. After a breakup in 2022, he went on your platform and searched for things like inspirational quotes and positive affirmations. Instead, he was served up numerous videos glamorizing suicide until he killed himself by gun. What about the name Chase Nazca? Does that ring a bell?
Would you mind giving me more details, please?
He was a 16-year-old who saw more than 1,000 videos on your platform about violence and suicide until he took his own life by stepping in front of a plane or train. Are you aware that his parents, Dean and Michelle, are suing TikTok and ByteDance for pushing their son to take his own life?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Chu, has the Federal Trade Commission sued TikTok during the Biden administration?
Senator, I cannot talk about whether there's any ongoing...
Are you currently being sued by the Federal Trade Commission?
Senator, I cannot talk about any potential lawsuits.
I didn't say potential, actual. Are you being sued by the Federal Trade Commission?
Senator, I think I've given you my answer. I cannot talk about...
No. Ms. Yacarino's company is being sued, I believe. Mr. Zuckerberg's company is being sued, I believe. Yet TikTok, the agent of the Chinese Communist Party, is not being sued by the Biden administration. Are you familiar with the name Christina Kafara?
You may have to give me more details.
Christina Kafara was a paid advisor to ByteDance, your communist-influenced parent company. She was then hired by the Biden FTC to advise on how to sue Mr. Zuckerberg's company.
Senator, ByteDance is a global company and not a Chinese communist company. It's owned by global investors.
Public reports indicate that your lobbyist visited the White House more than 40 times in 2022. How many times did your company's lobbyists visit the White House last year?
I don't know that, Senator.
Are you aware that the Biden campaign and the Democratic National Committee is on your platform? They have TikTok accounts?
Senator, we encourage people to come on
Which,
to
by
create
the way,
organic, authentic content.
they won't let their staffers use their personal phones. They give them separate phones that they only use TikTok on.
We encourage everyone to join, including yourself, Senator.
So all these companies are being sued by the FTC. You're not. The FTC has a former paid advisor, your parent, talking about how they can sue Mr. Zuckerberg's company. Joe Biden's reelection campaign, the Democratic National Committee, is on your platform. Let me ask you, have you or anyone else at TikTok communicated with or coordinated with the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, or the Democratic National Committee to influence the flow of information on your platform?
We work with any creators who want to use our campaign. It's all the same process that we have.
So what we have here, we have a company that's a tool of the Chinese Communist Party that is poisoning the minds of America's children, in some cases driving them to suicide, and that at best the Biden administration is taking a pass on, at worst maybe in collaboration with. Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Senator Cotton. So we're going to take a break now. We're on the second roll call. Members can take advantage of it if they wish. The break will last about 10 minutes. Please do your best to return.
But it gets darker. This isn't just about foreign influence. This is about what TikTok is doing to our kids. Cotton brought up the cases of two American teenagers, Mason and Chase, who both died by suicide after being served disturbing, violent, and pro-suicide content through TikTok's algorithm. Let that sink in. These kids were seeking hope and were given despair. And the CEO just sat there. No apology. No responsibility. Just corporate talking points. Then Cotton asked him about genocide. Yes, genocide. He asked Chu, this supposedly neutral businessman, whether he agreed that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghur people. Chu refused to answer. He wouldn't even call the Tiananmen Square massacre what it was, a massacre. He couldn't call Xi Jinping a dictator. Why? Because he knows that if he tells the truth about the CCP, he's done. The mask slips, and we see the truth. This man doesn't work for the free world. He worked for China. Cotton also asked about TikTok's political influence in America. Did you know that TikTok lobbyists visited the Biden White House over 40 times in a single year? Did you know the Biden campaign and the DNC are using TikTok for outreach while banning their own staff from using it personally? That's not just hypocrisy. That's coordination. That's propaganda. This is the same platform the Biden administration won't let the FTC touch, while Facebook and others get hit with lawsuits. This isn't just a tech issue. It's a national security issue. TikTok is a foreign weapon targeting the hearts and minds of our children, pushing radical ideologies, grooming addiction, and quietly collecting data for a hostile regime. And Biden? He's doing nothing. Maybe worse than nothing. Patriots, what we saw today proves we are at war, not with guns, but with culture, information, and influence. China doesn't need to fire a missile when they can poison a generation through a phone screen. And it's happening right now, right in front of us. Tom Cotton deserves credit for going harder than any other senator, refusing to let this CEO off the hook. But words aren't enough. We need action. We need TikTok banned. We need our kids protected. We need a government that defends Americans, not foreign-owned apps. If you agree, leave a comment saying ban TikTok now. Subscribe to MAGA Capital for more hard-hitting, truth-telling analysis that the mainstream media won't give you. Share this video with your friends. Let them see the truth for themselves. Stay informed. Stay loud. Stay patriotic. This is MAGA Capital, where we don't bow to China and we don't back down from the truth.